now and head out to a story we've been following over the past week. Some big developing news coming out just last night. The New York Times reporting that a third woman has come forward and accused Governor Cuomo of making unwanted advances on her. I'm going to bring in Fox News correspondent Brian Yennis. Brian, what's the latest on this case right now?
Well, right now, everyone is talking about Anna Ruck. She is the third woman to accuse New York Governor Andrew Cuomo of sexual harassment in the last week. And Ruck says in September of 2019 at a wedding reception, the governor put his hands on her lower back and also put it on her face and then asked if he could kiss her. And at that moment, Ruck says she felt confused and embarrassed. And now you have the two former aides of Governor Cuomo who had accused him of sexual harassment, who are coming out and tweeting their support for Anna Ruck and saying that we stand by her. There are now growing calls, though, from Democrats for Governor Cuomo to either resign or to be impeached. Some 13 New York State Assembly members, Democrats, are calling for the governor to resign. The New York Working Families Party is calling on the governor to resign. Some 6 socialist, self-described socialist legislators are calling for the governor to be impeached. And New York City's mayor, Democratic Mayor Bill de Blasio, who has no love lost with the governor, is saying that, frankly, if these allegations appear to be true, then they will be enough for him to, then he should not govern. So there is mounting pressure. In terms of top Democrats nationwide, though, we are hearing from Democratic Majority Leader Senator Chuck Schumer of New York, who says that ultimately he's going to wait for the investigation before deciding or saying whether or not he should resign. We're also not hearing, though, from people like Vice President Kamala Harris, who has not come out and said something specifically. The White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said today that she speaks on behalf of President Biden and Vice President Harris, and that they support these women who have come out and their right to speak out, and that they support an independent investigation. The Attorney General here in New York is conducting that independent investigation. A law firm of her choosing with subpoena power will investigate and release a public report on their findings. And all of this as the governor has hired a white-collar veteran criminal defense attorney to represent him and his administration in another scandal involving his administration's handling of COVID-19 in the state's nursing homes. So a lot going on and the pressure building every single day, and we'll follow it.
Brian, what is it going to take for Governor Cuomo to actually resign, though? Because multiple people are telling him to, but what's his response to all this?
The governor has denied the accusations of unwanted kissing or touching that was made by his former aide, Lindsey Boylan. He said he was being playful and joking when it came to inappropriate remarks that he allegedly made to Charlotte Bennett, who was another former aide. And in this time, he has been mum. He has not said a word. He hasn't had a COVID-19 on-camera briefing since February 19th. I don't know what it's going to take for the governor to eventually decide that enough is enough, but ultimately, I think it's going to take the majority Democrat Assembly and Senate in New York to come to make the decision, to pressure the governor. New York politics is run by a supermajority of Democrats, and I believe it's going to take Albany and all of them in the Assembly and in the Senate to say enough is enough for the governor to decide to step down.
And last question for you. You brought up that nursing home scandal concerning the governor. Some of his critics are saying that this is diverting the focus. These sexual harassment allegations are diverting the focus from his mishandlings of the COVID-19 pandemic. Is there any response to that right now as well?
No, we haven't had a response to that other than obviously the governor has chosen a criminal defense attorney to represent him and his executive chamber. But on the issue of whether or not it is the scandal, there is an argument that it really could be, given the fact at this moment that we know that there is a reported ongoing FBI investigation into whether or not the administration covered up or withheld COVID-19 death data in the nursing home. So, you have a reported ongoing FBI investigation. We don't know if it's criminal yet, but on top of that, that's different than these sexual harassment allegations because technically we're not going to know what's going to happen until this report is made public. Right now, it is not a criminal investigation. It is just an independent investigation. And so that's where we stand on that.
Yeah. What's the first thing that we should be watching for in this coming week?
I got to think right now we are expecting the Democrats in here in New York to strip the governor of his emergency pandemic powers, which is a big deal. He's used those powers to enforce lockdowns and whatnot. So that'll be a big rebuke. We weren't sure it was going to happen, but I think we now know it will happen. It looks like it'll be Friday. After that, honestly, it'll be whether or not we hear another accuser step forward. There is a drip to this story and to both of these scandals. And I guess at this point, it's whether or not there's going to be another shoe to drop.
Yep. All right, well, Brian Yennis out there in New York, like you said, this is a developing story that we'll continue to be watching. Seems like every day a new woman is coming forward, so we'll keep our eyes on this story in New York. Thanks for being with us here on NewsNOW.
Thank you.
We're going to step away from that news out in New York to head back to some of our coverage in California of that tragic mass casualty crash. We'll also have a live report from one of the hospitals that some of the patients have been transported to at this point in time. But until we go out to that, we'll take some of the coverage from our Fox 11 Los Angeles team. I'm also taking a look at a live feed coming out of Houston, Texas right now. They're responding to the new news from Texas Governor Greg Abbott saying that they're opening the state of Texas 100%, taking away all the mask mandates. So things rapidly changing